just wrapped up our fall. Actually, just got done with some individual meetings and then straight down here before the guys leave after finals. And great fall. Thought we really meshed well together. A lot of new faces, which I think it's kind of a theme in college baseball right now. With you just look at roster construction and the way this works with the portal and what you've heard every coach talk about over the past couple years. But really liked how we meshed together. I thought this fall was different in that. The fluidity of our staff, kind of knowing how everyone works, the veteran players. We've got a handful of guys that have been with us since the beginning, and I think that impact on just how we practice, how we go about things. I think those cultural things were really reassuring that they're rock solid. So love the fall. Had two great showings outside competition, played SIU Edwardsville here and then wrapped up at K-State, and really loved how we competed and thought we grew from August to really to the end of the fall in October, and then the last month or so has been really good in terms of the development. We hit by the draft last year, which is a great problem to have, and we kind of had this plan B in the wings of, okay, if the draft hits us with Hartle and Shaw and Lanthier and those guys, what are we going to do? And my staff did such a fantastic job of responding to that and picked up some great late portal guys that have been fantastic and mature and just kind of a grittiness to those guys. And then followed it up this fall with another great recruiting class. I think that the continuity of my staff, and you look at some of the great baseball programs in college baseball, and that is a key with a lot of them, assistants who have been there a long time and kind of how that staff works together. So that's certainly something that I can hold on to for a long time, but those guys are fantastic and did just a great job. So 11 players in this year's class, 7 hitters, 4 pitchers to start. And we had some things to address with, we're old again this year, especially in our infield. So that was a thing that we really had to target. And then we kind of waited on catching throughout most of the summer, not knowing what was going to happen. Well, I should say until the draft, kind of not knowing what was going to happen with Hartle. And then, of course, Ben got his opportunity with the Rangers, and we were thrilled for him. So picked up a couple catchers late and then had to in this class as well. And then, if you ever meet a coach that says he has enough pitching, he's lying. So we picked up some good arms too. But 7 hitters. Start with behind the plate. Augusto Mungarieta from Northwest Florida State plays for Doug Martin, who's a Hall of Famer and has coached the Team USA JUCO team a number of times. Hit .392 in his freshman year, 14 doubles, 15 home runs, and he's a long way from his ceiling. Like, you look at him, and if he's shaving, he hasn't been shaving very long. Like, there's a big ceiling to him. Really excited about him. Another local guy from KCK, Frankie Santiago, plays for Matt Goldbeck, and Matt's a fantastic coach. Frankie's switch hitter, catcher, infielder. Not sure exactly what he's going to be here, but I know he's going to hit. He's a .343 hitter his freshman year, 15 home runs, and again, another versatile guy. And I think that's one thing that we've done a good job of with our recruiting classes, is finding those guys that play multiple positions, and it's given us some really cool opportunities to shift guys around and play some different defenses, and Frankie will certainly help us with that. Tyson LeBlanc from LSU Eunice plays for Jeff Willis, who is a great friend of mine and a guy that I competed against when I was at Des Moines Area Community College. They won a national championship last year. Tyson was a huge piece of that. .350, 20 doubles. He really knows how to play the game, and a Louisiana kid, so that's good. We need someone to replace Collier. We're missing the Louisiana flair this year. Dylan Schlotterback, an infielder from Paris College, plays for Clay Cox. Clay's one of the great infield coaches in our sport, and Dylan has certainly learned a lot from him. Really gritty player, .367 as a freshman, had 28 walks and 7 strikeouts. So really good on base guy, awesome approach at the plate. I think he's going to be a special player. He plays short, he plays third. He's kind of a throwback and can kind of do everything. Cade Baldridge, infielder from Cowley County. We've had a string of guys from Cowley, which goes back to our relationship with Dave Burrows, a legendary Hall of Fame coach, and now his brother Lefty's the head coach, and a string of really good players. And they've been really good to us, and those guys really know how to compete. Cade's a switch hitter. Again, middle infielder, can kind of do it all. Won the Gold Glove last year in the junior college level, hit 340, 16 doubles. Again, another guy that's plus in walks and in low in strikeouts. Savion Flowers is a freshman at Cisco College in Texas. He plays for David White, who John Coyne worked at Cisco, and White, he's a guy that, again, we've known forever and always has good players. Savion is from Chicago and super tooled up. Like when he came on his visit, I thought that everyone probably thought he was a football recruiter, one of Bill's recruits. I mean, he is a monster and super impressive athletically. Profiles in center field, bats left, which again, getting some left-handed hitting was a real focus of ours. So 2 switch hitters and a lefty in the hitters is big. And then Jamil Rivera from Western Oklahoma State College, again, plays for Kurt Russell. We've had a string of guys from Western, and they've been outstanding. And Jamil's right in that same mold. Hit 361, hit a bunch of doubles, bunch of home runs. You know, a power guy who can really play. Then 4 pitchers. Got Ty Thompson, a left-handed pitcher from DMAC, plays for Nick Mishler. Kind of a special one for me. That's kind of where I started this whole thing, and so getting a DMAC guy has been really fun, and they do a fantastic job. Ty threw 47 in the third last year, 59 strikeouts. So again, we talk about it all the time that whoever wins the strike zone usually wins the game. Well, strikeouts then really win the game. And so something with all of our JUCO guys has been just their ability to punch people out. Jacob O'Day, same thing, Heartland, plays for Chris Razzo. We've had a string of Heartland guys. You go back to Ben Hartle and Reese Dutton and now TJ Williams. And Raz is one of the great coaches in junior college baseball. Jacob, 80 and 2/3, 93 punch outs and 14 starts. So you start doing the math on 14 starts and 93 punch outs, and that's awfully good. Dane Ebel, right-handed pitcher from Lincoln Trail, plays for Coach Maynard, 28 in the third, 41 punch outs. He was a guy we saw a couple times this fall, really explosive, and a guy that we project as a rotation guy for us next year. And then our lone high school guy, Crew Huenfeld from St. Thomas Aquinas, plays for Coach Sabbath, who of course coached here in a couple different stints. But Crew, left, first base, left-handed pitcher, number 7th ranked player in the state of Kansas. He's a 2-time first-team All-State guy, won a state championship there. So we're excited about these guys. You know, this class will grow. We're working on a couple other ones, and and then there's where it all falls out at the end. When you factor in the portal and how the draft hits us this year, this class will change and be added to, but we're really excited about the core of what we got. So happy to answer any questions, recruiting, fall, anything.
What were, and I guess are, because you're still doing it, the challenges of recruiting for the 2025 class given the roster limits and the house settlement and all that?
Trying to operate with knowing that there are goalposts somewhere on the field, but they're moving. And, I think that's one of the things that from day one at KU, is one of the things that really drew me here was the transparency and communication from the administration and just the trust in Travis and Sean and really the whole operation. And at KU, when they say that they're putting the student athlete first, it's a real thing. So I think it was we kind of know where it's going. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like, and we still don't. And we know that the roster is changing. It's going to 34. Now, when that happens and what date that has to go to, we're still not sure, but we were aggressive in getting guys that we thought could stay in the middle of the field and impact right away. But certainly something that it's my last thought and first thought every day of where is this headed?
Dan, with the success that your transfers have had in your couple years here, do you think that helped add these guys? Do they pay attention to that kind of stuff?
For sure, Matt. The draft, I think, guys, Kansas has always been a respected program, and Coach Price did such a great job of building a class into it and a high academic standard and a certain way that things were done. I think that the way our guys were drafted last year is the thing that caught a lot of the portal guys after the draft, and then certainly the junior college guys, because if you look at a guy like Evan Shaw, who's at Cochise Junior College, comes to KU for 1 year and, you know, is like a real prospect now. And same thing with Ben Hartle, you know, a great player at Heartland, won a national championship, comes to KU 1 year later, is a, you know, Ben finished the year in AAA. And, you know, there are a number of those guys, a number of those stories that are guys that have gone in, done well, and yeah, there was a little bit different vibe around, you know, going out and watching JUCO games this fall and recruiting the portal, because I think people noticed the development process.
What are you, like 2-to-1 newcomers to returners, something like that?
Yeah, we've got 28 new guys,
Okay.
which, you know, is kind of the nature of the beast right now.
Sure.
And especially shrinking to 34,
Right.
I think the way that that's impacted recruiting and just roster construction, it one of the bigger changes in our sports history for sure.
You guys have had the top JUCO class 3 years in a row now. Having coached at the JUCO level, is there something about the JUCO guys as a whole that makes them appealing to make the jump to D1?
Yeah, I think, you know, my whole staff, we've all spent time in junior college, and I think there's a humility that gets pounded into you because there is no flash, there is no flair, there are no, you know, if you're on a bus and have your own seat, you've done something amazing. Like it's, you know, a post-game meal, just all the little things that, like, you have to love playing baseball. You have to really love to work, and oftentimes you're going to these great small towns where, you know, you're making a choice to go to that school to play baseball. Obviously to get an education and put yourself in a position to play at the Division I level or sign professionally, but you have to love playing. And there are so many great junior college coaches in the country that, and the rules are different. They can play a ton in the fall. So some of these freshmen, their development of going in, playing 20 games in the fall, playing 56 in the spring, and then having the opportunity, you know, to come on a visit at a place like Kansas and go to a game in Allen Fieldhouse and experience the academic stuff and experience all the off the field things and the support, and meet with a nutritionist and a strength coach, and you know, I think it's an overwhelming experience of, wow, this is really big time. And at the same time, those guys have a level of humility that you just have to play in our program. We are a gritty blue collar, pin your ears back and play, and those guys, they fit really well here.
What do you think about the way that your non-conference schedule shook out with an eye toward the postseason? I know you added the Minnesota ones late too.
Yeah, you know, scheduling's tricky because the RPI thing favors road games for sure, and you're guessing, in this case, like the schedule we're playing right now, 90% of it was constructed the first summer we were here. And so you look at certain games and certain teams in leagues, and you look at, okay, the simple version of RPI is it's 50% your opponent's record, 25% your record, and 25% your opponent's record. So you really want to play people that win a ton of games. So you try to play some teams that are going to do really well. Basically, you want to sweep them, and then you want them to go undefeated the rest of the way. And so there's a trickiness to some of the non-conference games of, okay, who's going to be really good in their conference and is in a warm weather state so we can make sure we're going to play. And the midweeks are fairly easy for us because we just have some great options, and we get to hit different leagues. We get to hit the Big Ten in Nebraska. We get to hit the SEC with Missouri, and we've got some built-in stuff that just works well. The Texas A&M Corpus Christi is a great program. They should be really good this year. And when we set this up, we kind of thought, okay, they're a team that can do really well in their conference. Tarleton won the WAC last year. That's a great non-conference. 3 years ago, Nebraska Omaha was the greatest team you could ever play for RPI because they rolled through their league and won 38 games. And Milwaukee should do really well in their league too. Minnesota we had a we had a team cancel on us, a scheduling mix-up, and that allowed us to get 2 road games in the midweek before we started the conference. So, and it got us to 56. So there's a method to the madness, but you're trying to, the easy way to do it is to play all road games. Well, that's kind of lame too. And then you hurt your development cycle, because being at home is a completely different development thing than being on the road. Like a home game, if we play at 6 o'clock, you know, there are guys in the cages at 10 a.m. getting ready. When we're on the road, if we play at 6 o'clock, you know, you don't just roll into the opponent's field and start hitting. So you got to balance it, but I do think we're set up well.
Two quick ones. You talked about being out on the recruiting trail. I wonder, did your finish, the way you guys finished so strong last year, did that get recognized and noticed by people you were talking to?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I think the finish, the consistency of how we played, and then I think for sure the draft, those were the big ones. But I think people saw, you know, that we're a different program. We were a different program in the Big 12 tournament than we were the previous year, and you know, that we took another step forward. So I do think people saw that. I think we felt it. I don't know that we felt it at the time. At the time, you just wish you could get that out in the 6th and get a 6-2. Not that I remember it, but 6-2 against OU and going in with 9 outs to get. But I think when you sit back and reflect and look at, okay, but now what are the pieces that we need to get those 3 outs? You know, now you get the 9 outs and you play for a Big 12 title. You know, now what are those pieces that get those 9 outs at the end? When Cranton's already pitched, when some of those guys have already gone. So we addressed a ton of that with just depth, and still some question marks of okay, we were really good at the end, but you know, that was 2 years in the making for Hunter Cranton. So yes, I think it got people's attention, and then as a staff, I think we felt good, like, okay, we've taken the jump, but you know, I don't want to have that conversation at the end of the year of well, if we had in these handful of games.
Yeah, and then with the newcomers, is there an art to putting together a team that is led by newcomers? You showed that a lot last year. Some of those guys that were brand new were big time leaders. I would assume you're going to need some of them to do that again. And is that an art? Is there some way maybe you've already addressed it a little bit in kind of what you've answered today, but
yeah,
how do you approach that?
I'd be curious what other coaches would say. I'm a baseball guy, so I know that better than anything, and baseball guys are just kind of baseball guys,
Yeah.
you know. And so there's an element of guys know what to do in the dugout, and they know what to do in the clubhouse, and they kind of know how it works. But I think freeing guys up, I think there's stuff we need to get better at daily. I think we're really good at freeing guys up to play. If you watch our games, guys are not whipping their head around in the dugout to see what we think. They are playing. Like, they know that we are behind them. We have done our best to support them and develop them, and then cut them loose to really compete. And so I think that is because we free them up and tell them, really, we have 2 rules. You have to be an unbelievable teammate, not an average teammate, not an okay teammate. Like, you have to be an unbelievable teammate. And we define that out and talk about what does that mean. And then you got to play your tail off. And those are 2 pretty simple ones to govern. Like, do you play hard? Well, we can time you running to first. We can show you on video. We can look at what you're doing in the weight room. And then if you're a great teammate, it's pretty easy to figure out too. So inside of that, we just kind of give the guys free reign of, hey, leaders are leaders. If you've been here for a week and you want to be a great teammate, play your tail off, you can lead. But yeah, it changes. I mean, we had some big personalities last year that were gone, and then, you know, we've got a special one back in Dom Vagley. Dom's not going to be giving any inspiring pregame speeches. I mean, that's the most mellow dude in the world, and that's who he is. But he can lead doing that. How he works, the way he goes about it, and that we've got some new guys that are really loud and really funny. Well, they need to use that as their superpower too. So, but really, we talk about us and together and us being a unit moving in the same direction, to where we really try to free them up to. We have a no tiptoeing policy in this program. Like, you do not tiptoe around and get your feet wet. It is cannonball off the diving board from day one. and we kind of free him up to do that.
Talking about Dom, just what have you seen from his development as he looks to probably slide into that Friday night role?
Yeah, if I showed you our stats from the fall, and blocked out the names, you'd be able to pick Dom out in a second. It's really quality innings pitched, really low walks, really high strikeouts. In his ability to learn stuff, he's got 2 breaking balls, which is rare. Most times when you recruit someone that throws a fastball, slider, and a curveball, their slider and curveball morph into a slurve, and they call them 2 separate pitches, and you're like, that's the exact same thing. And Dom has 2 very distinct breaking balls and has added a changeup and has really good feel for it. So I think his summer with Team USA was huge. I actually got to see him down there, which was just a really cool experience. And the greatest part was nothing changed with Dom. Like, it was the same heartbeat, it was the same everything, and he carried that into this fall. He was our best guy on the mound by far, and was able to take another jump. His velo's up a little bit. Physically, he looks great. Yeah, I wish they were all like him. He's a special one.
Anything else for Coach? Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Let's go